Hello, my Ravens. Um, Today I'm going to do a video that I kind of thought would be a good idea. I thought it would be a fun thing to do. And once again, it's in my room. I would have done it outside earlier today, but it came a storm. The weather has either been ungodly hot or coming a storm here lately in Alabama. So it just can't make up its mind. And here we have at about 1 in the morning me doing this. But this video is called 7 Fun Facts About My Writing. And I just came up with 7. I knew it was going to be some, but there's probably more, but I figured this is a pretty good start. And these are just little tidbits about details you might think are interesting about where my ideas came from the writing. Number 1. The Preacher was based off a character in a book I started and failed, and trust me, there are many of them, called Red Rain. I don't know why it was called Red Rain, and I don't even remember where I was going with it. I just remember it was very far-fetched, but there was one character that I liked out of it. He was like an old Southern Baptist preacher, and he had long silver hair, and he could see visions of the future. So then I started thought when that failed, it's like, well, maybe I could do the Preacher and give him his own story, and I think that was where I took him and made him younger, and he became Jacob Cross, and that's where I came up with The Preacher from, and it ended up being the first book that I ever completed. And coincidentally, I've always kind of been fond of that character, the one that I first created, so he actually in the future is basically Jacob's grandfather. So you'll learn that in the next I don't know if you learned it in the second one, but you definitely learned it in the third. Yeah, I think you learned it in the second book, but okay. But number 2, the idea for A Stranger in the Rain came from me standing in the rain, waiting for my daddy to bring the truck out from under the carport. I was standing out holding my computer, and it was like in my case. And I was just waiting on him, and it was like just kind of drizzling that night, and I thought, this would be a good scene for a horror story, like a creepy hitchhiker in the rain, you know, and that's where I came up with it, and I just thought it out and ended up writing it, and that ended up in Accents of Horror. So that was where that one came from. Number 3, Headlights is loosely based on a true story. That was the second story in Accents of Horror. Now, I made up the entire story and everything. There's no story to go with it. But the loosely true part is that outside of my house out here, there actually has been, and I've seen it and many people have seen it, there's a place where you come up, there's like a slant uphill in the road, and you'll see headlights coming, and you'll dim your lights for them, and then they just disappear with nowhere to go, you know. So that has happened a lot of times, and many people have seen it not too far outside of my house. So, what I did is I always thought there should be some kind of story behind it, so I made one up for it, and that is where that came from. And I actually wrote it in about 45 minutes. And what's funny is so many people say, "Oh my God, I loved Headlights. It was just so great and everything." I'm like, it took me longer to write A Stranger in the Rain. That was the one I was really proud of. But I'm happy when anybody. I love all my stories, but that was the one that took me the least amount of time to write. I think, and it seems to be most everybody's favorite. Everybody loves the message in it. But, okay, number 4. The description for Sarah and Jonathan in The Preacher are based on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I used to play the card game a lot and collect the cards when I was a teenager, and there was a couple of the cards that I just loved the look of them. I thought they were so cool. So I made Sarah, the beautiful Sarah, based off of one, and Jonathan based off of one, and that is where their descriptions came from. Number 5. Artemis was one of my first book ideas in high school. I think it was actually my second one. And I still remember sitting in high school one day, not doing my work, and I asked the teacher, I'm like, "How do you spell forensics?" And he's like, I think he spelled it, and he's like, "But what does that have to do with your work you're doing now?" And nothing. But it took me a long time to write it. I've actually had it written for a while, and it's just now being published, you know. I forget it, but it still took a long time to write. But that idea was in my head when I was like 17 or 18 years old. It was 11th, or I think it was 12th grade. My birthday's not till late December, so I don't remember how old I was. But that was where that came from. Number 6. Mark from The Preacher is based off a character named Flash Talon that I had in a book, the very first book I tried to do. It did not work out very well. Called A Time of Destiny. One thing I did was I wrote it in script form. I wrote it more like a play, like I did my short stories back then. That was how I did all my stories. I wrote them in play form, and should have known that wasn't going to work for a book. But and one thing about it is he was a wisecracking guy, kind of dressed like a bandit, you know, that Mark is. I don't think he had a beard, but he was actually one of the main characters I really liked, and there was a few. I think I had some good characters in it, and you know, who knows? One day I might go off and go back and try to do something along the lines of that one day. But I was just very overdramatic, and it was at a time where I hadn't found my voice yet. I was doing what I thought that fantasy was supposed to be, like halt, stop there, or I shall take my sword and slay thee, and everything. And it just was bad. I was overdramatic and a bunch of stuff. It sucked. But now I think, considering my reviews and stuff, I think I found my voice, and I'm a lot better than I used to be. Last fun fact. Number 7. The first page of The Bone Spirit was done as a workshop exercise. I went to this, it wasn't at the writers' conference, but the people that ran the conference, they had like this little workshop for a few people at their house, and the guest speaker, the one doing the workshop, wanted us to do a page, I think it was like involving all 5 senses. It was like sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. That first page, I'd already had the idea for the Bone Spirit in my head, so I decided, oh no, we'll see how this goes. And that ended up being the first page, and I ended up dedicating the book to the lady who did that exercise. And Bone Spirit to this day is still the easiest thing I ever wrote, because I loved the story so much, and I loved the characters so much. But I hope you enjoyed this video. That's 7 fun facts of my writing. If I was to think of any more, and I'm sure more will come as my writing goes on, I'll do another video. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm getting on up there in videos now. I've got 69 subscribers. I hope you'll be another one. And share it with your friends. And as I always say, happy reading.